I think I'd like to start by just welcome you all to the Scottish Government's virtual stall. And for that, we're going to do a workshop on the future of women working in tech. So to kick us off, I thought I'd hand over to Karen McNabb to give a little bit of an introduction of why we're here today and a little bit about herself, her job role and what she does before passing on to whoever she wants. Maybe we can work our way around the grid until everybody's done an introduction. But welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Fiona. Yeah, welcome, everyone, and thanks again for joining us. So I'm Karen McNabb. I'm a delivery manager in the product and commercial division within Scottish Government's Digital Directorate. I suppose for just a little bit of background, I studied finance and management science in the University of Strathclyde. And after graduating in 2015, I joined a small consultancy firm where I ended up working in the technology and change area of a pensions and insurance company. And then doing that, I suppose, gave me a bit of a taste of working on sort of large business and digital transformation programs and projects. And from there, I came into the public sector, and I've been here in Scottish Government's Digital Directorate now for the last 2 and a bit years. And I've worked during that time on a number of projects, but I've mostly been involved in the payments project, where we're designing and developing a shared payment service for use across the public sector. And this is a huge part of activity across the organisation, where we're focusing on building a digital government that works better for everyone, citizens, organisations, and all of us colleagues. So yeah, I suppose we're here today, like Fiona said, just to talk about our roles, the perks for jobs, how we ended up where we are, and how we can encourage others to come and join us. So with that in mind, I'll hand over to Alison.
Hi everybody, my name is Alison Couch. I am also a delivery manager like Karen. I also work in the Scottish Government Digital Directorate. There's a lot of D's in my title and job role, so I'm specifically within the Digital Transformation Division. And I'm currently working on the Digital Transformation Service Programme, where we are creating a service to hopefully help enable digital transformation in the Scottish public sector. And my kind of bio, my history of how I got to this current job is I studied in Business and Modern Languages, also at Strathclyde. And then I moved from Scotland down to London, and I took the traditional IT project management route. And my career path kind of stretched from IT project management as it evolved into digital. So now I am a digital delivery manager, working more on that agile ways of working, which is fantastic fun. Yeah, and currently I'm working on that kind of digital transformation program at the moment. Yeah, which is a great job. If we're going to play member tag, then I'll maybe tag Carly next. She connects well into what I'm doing.
Thanks, Alison. I am Carly Mace. My job title is Service Owner, which is a bit of a funny one. It's quite difficult to explain, but I particularly am responsible for the Scottish Government's flagship websites, so mygov.scot and gov.scot, as well as the technology that underpins them, and the digital publishing service, which is a service which aims to support organisations in the Scottish public sector in publishing their content online, whether that's on those flagship websites or whether it's on their own website or a third-party website. I have a somewhat different background, so I have 2 philosophy degrees, which is very unrelated to most digital things. I started off working in digital communication, so I worked agency side, doing everything from search engine optimization to social media, through that kind of content creation route. And then I moved into digital within higher education, which was brilliant. It was kind of like public sector light, because there was still a lot of that side, whilst there was also a real need to take a user-centered approach, which is really the heart of a lot of what we do. So I've been at the Scottish Government for just about 2 years now within the Digital Directorate's Digital Transformation Division, and I've been working on publishing for the entire time with a multidisciplinary team that do lots of different things. Who should I hand over to? I tell you what, I'll hand over to Nicola.
Hello. So my name's Nicola Hancock. I'm a senior user researcher in, similarly again, the Digital Transformation Division. Why is that so hard to say when it's in your job title? In the user-centered design team there. And I think Carly and I joined 2 weeks apart or something 2 years ago-ish. So we've been around the same amount of time. What did I do at uni? I did a business and law degree. It's got, I would say, F all to do with what I do now, but actually no, it doesn't. So when I did business, I looked at a lot of things around like marketing in society and the impact of marketing on social issues. So, and in the law side of things, moved more into criminology and gender injustice. So thinking about, again, those sort of wider social issues. So I just have realized I was a people person, and I'm just really interested in what makes people tick, what makes them behave the way that they do. And my route into my job, I wrote a blog about it because it just takes so long to get there for Edinburgh Uni. But essentially, I started in marketing, realized it wasn't really for me, but I've always worked online in digital because of the time that I graduated and the sort of jobs that were around. And I had first started in an operational role at an agency, kind of with 20 people in it. So I was just doing everything that everyone else couldn't quite do. But on my first day, I sat in on a co-design workshop and thought, I want to do that job. That looks really cool. So 2 years later, I got to move into user research after a lot of shadowing, on-the-job training, following people around, going to every workshop I could. And I've now been doing user research for 4 or 5 years, which, yeah. And before, when I left uni, had no idea that my job existed. So it's quite nice that I'm here. No, I don't. I was like, is there an interesting thing I can add? Grew up in Hong Kong, and most people are always surprised by that. Been in Scotland 11 or 12 years now, so I have Scottishisms, and people normally think I'm Scottish, which my very Scottish boyfriend strongly disagrees with. And yeah, I'm going to stop talking now and hand over to Serena, familiar face.
Hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Serena. I'm working as the rest in the Digital Directorate, the Digital Transformation Division. I've joined Scottish Government at the beginning of this year as a service designer. Currently, I'm working together with Nicola and Carly. Since I've joined, I've done a couple of different projects, mainly supporting multidisciplinary teams from a design perspective and helping, bringing in a service design mindset, doing some practice work around raising awareness for service design. My background is quite straightforward, although it's probably very different to the rest of you. So I went to art school. So after school, I decided I want to go to art school, which was probably against what everyone else were recommending me. I'm by the way from Germany. So I did my bachelor in Germany in Cologne, integrated design. I did communication design in Taiwan and then moved for my master study to Glasgow and studied design innovation, where I then strongly focused on service design and digital projects. And I finished my master's last year and then had the opportunity to join Scottish Government, which was really great because it really resonates to my vision or my dream of doing something for the public sector, working in the public sector as a designer, which I would have never thought of, I guess, when I started with art school. But this was something I really wanted to try out, and probably also the reason why I'm still in Scotland. So that's me, and I don't know anyone else on this call. I'm just gonna hand over to the next name next to me, Sarah.
Hey, thanks for that. It's so nice to see so many female faces for once. The office I work in, I'm like the only girl out of 22 guys, so it's actually quite nice to see. So I'm Sarah Cooper. I am an IT service delivery manager for the Unified Communications branch within iTech. So iTech looks after actually all the physical infrastructure and the services within the Scottish Government that staff and public bodies and agencies utilise. So my background is really different. I literally left school and got a part-time job at John Lewis. And my background was actually stock handling and manual handling. But with it became a lot of aging technologies and systems and services. And with that wasn't always quite a young and possibly technologically minded kind of crowd. So I was always used to pilot sort of new technologies and devices and service platforms. And with that came an opportunity within what was known as branch network administration. So I did 8 years of systems support and training for John Lewis Edinburgh. And as with a lot of careers, you get to a point where you maybe can't expand or you don't know where your path can lead. And one of my predecessors who had left for the Scottish Government and now works in procurement still, he let me know about external vacancies and opportunities that were coming up. And in January 2014, I joined the Scottish Government as a network engineer. But about a month in, a lot of the management sort of determined that my skill set and my experience from service and customer delivery was better suited to project management. So like a couple other people here today, I ended up in a very project dominated role for about 5 years. Through project lead, project support, project delivery, took a promotional opportunity to project management. And last year, my department and a few of the guys, we were separated from the core network services team and we became Unified Comms as a new branch. And we basically look after all the telephony, mobile telephony, your audio, video conferencing services. And it's been a challenging time for everybody the last 6 months. Nobody could have seen this coming, but I am really proud to be part of a team that's managed to keep up to 15,000 users working from home remotely every day. And I think that's something, we all need to be proud of, that we've managed to keep going in such unprecedented times. So that's me. I'm going to pass on to Mary. Is Mary there?
Hi, Mary. We'd love to hear you. Oh, hope the mic's working. Not yet. Anyone good at lip reading? Well, it seems you're definitely off mute, but I'm just wondering, is there a different headset, a wee tech problem? Audio problems. Mary, would you like to type your bio into the chat, which someone can read out, if that's okay with you?
So there's a small arrow next to the mute button, and when you click on this, you can choose where the audio and voice should come from. So maybe something wrong is selected.
Hello?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yay.
Thank you, Serena, for providing technical support.
We were not giving up on you, Mary.
Typical that it happened to me, but never mind. Hi, everyone. It's nice to speak to you all. Quickly go through my bio here. So 10 years ago, if you said I would be working in IT, I would have called you a liar. I have a degree in economics from Abertay University, and I found myself working with the Scottish Government by working on reception and security at Saughton House. That was my first job in the civil service. and I was working night shift one night and was really fed up, so I applied for a job in the IT help desk with ITEX, and I was surprised to get the job with no background in IT, but I got it through my customer service skills, because that's obviously very important working on an IT help desk role. And I found once I got in that role, I picked up things really quickly and I flourished, and I just loved the job, and I've stayed in IT ever since. So I worked in ITEX for about 5 years in various roles, and I'm currently with the Student Awards Agency for Scotland. I've been here about 3 years now. I've had a couple of promotional opportunities, so I'm now heading up our IT configuration management team, which is quite interesting. Not a lot of people do that job role in the Scottish Government. So it's mostly looking at our configuration items and managing them and recording them effectively to keep track of all our assets, which in these unprecedented times is obviously very important. So I'm loving that job at the moment. And yeah, that's me. And just thank you for inviting me along today. I don't know who else hasn't been yet.
Over to Mel O'Connor.
Mel.
Hiya. Is this working? My computer's going wild with this WebEx, so if you hear like something taking off in the background, it's just the fans. So I'm Mel. I started off in Liverpool, and then I went to uni in Glasgow Uni, and I studied something quite different from everyone else. I studied geology, so my degree was actually, it's called Earth Science, because they just wanted to call it that, because we kind of looked at the whole Earth. And then I moved to Strathclyde Uni to do my Masters in Sustainability and Environmental Studies. So I was kind of looking at that route into kind of climate change and that kind of stuff I was really interested in. But I had to get a job as well. So it was kind of, what do I do next? So I applied for the fast stream just on a whim. And I ended up getting a place on the fast stream, which has totally changed my life and my career path. And I've just finished one placement in DIT in London as a content designer. So very much interested in user-centered design and digital, but it's not really kind of a career. Like a few people have said, it's not a career that I knew existed. If you would have said, what's a content designer, what's a service owner, I would have no idea. So it's really interesting kind of the path it's taken me on. And I've been all over the place as well. So I worked for DWP for my first placement in Blackpool, and then I went to GDS in London, and now I am at the Scottish Government, which is great because I feel like I've come back home. So studying in Glasgow really kind of made it feel like a second home. So I'm really excited to be here and to be invited. That's me. I think Hayley hasn't talked. Might be.
Thanks. So I'm Hayley. So my current role, I work in the product and commercial division in the digital directorate, the same division as Karen mentioned earlier. And my role, I've got quite a fun job title. It's challenge manager, which is maps onto delivery manager. So I work within the CivTech team, and our role, and I suppose my role and my colleagues' role within that is we fundamentally try to solve public sector digital and tech problems by collaborating with private sector companies and running a tech accelerator as a way to do that. I've been in the role of challenge manager for almost a year, and yeah, I love it. It's fascinating, and you're seeing technologies that are really cutting edge and innovative and something different every day. My background to get here, again, like a few other people have said, maybe wasn't what you'd expect. So my educational background was in archaeology and then in history and philosophy of science. So when I started my career, I worked for a few years in the museum sector as a curator, where in a couple of roles where I specialised in mostly contemporary technology. And then last year I moved over to here in Scottish Government, which is really sort of has built on all that interest I built up when I was working with technology collections in the sector. That's me, and I think over to Fiona.
Hi, thanks everyone. That was really wonderful to hear everybody share not only their name and their job title, but a little bit about their journey to getting to that. And oh my goodness, what an amazing bunch of folk we are. We're going to jump straight into the next task because I think it links really nicely to some of the nuggets of information that you guys were sharing around the best things about your job. So to do that, we're going to I'm going to share screen and I'd ask that everybody else opens up the Jamboard tab that we had a little test on earlier. So this is going to be a bit of a rapid fire and I am just going to bring the videos out of the way if I can. Yes, perfect. So you can see this was our first slide on the Jamboard, where we had a bit of a playground experience where we were testing out the different functionality of this online collaboration tool. That's gone really well, so I'd ask that everybody could move on to the next frame. So that's just the wee arrow pointing to the right on the centre of the screen, the kind of upper centre screen. So I can check if everybody's managed. We're just waiting for Enormous Werewolf. Yay, everyone's over. Cool, nice one. So we're going to jump into this task, and I'm going to ask everybody to be bold and be brave and think. There's no such thing as a wrong answer here. We're going to populate this white space with lots of colourful notes, lots of post-it notes. So I'd ask you to answer the question, and I'm only going to give you about 60 to 90 seconds to do it. What's the best thing about your job? Let's go for it. Woohoo! Okay, I'm going to start us off. Oh, this is great. I'm already seeing lots of interesting answers appearing. Keep them coming. That's brilliant. We've got a little pile of them here. I think somebody's really helpfully started to spread them out. That's great. Thank you. Oh my goodness, this is brilliant. Okay, I'm going to start reading out some, but don't let that stop you from adding more. So we've got some really interesting ones here where we're considering the fact that the best thing about our job is, you know, the creativity and the innovation, the diversity of tasks and skills used, and those two are clearly linked. We've got really nice notes though about it's not just about the kind of work that we do, it's the environment, the work culture that we oh, this is so exciting. This is brilliant. The work culture that we are supported by. So we've got flexible working hours, which means that we're able to be a mum as well as an amazing designer or tech expert or digital transformation lead. There's career development and the resources available to do so. Yeah, so it's great when you can see somebody's being very neat and organising these. Thank you. It's great when you can see the opportunities above you. But if there's not the mechanisms to support you in developing, then that's really difficult to see how you can rise. So I think that's a really good point someone's made. I'm seeing lots of really interesting ones about seeing digital public services from conception, policy, through to something that people can actually use. So having that real life application is amazing. I'm going to read out one more. Let me see. I'm going to finish with this one because it's such a beautiful one. Feeling valued. So knowing that we make a difference and that there's humans behind the resource. And the job title is so important to what we do. It gives us that job satisfaction. I think that's really, really, really great. Thanks everyone for contributing. That's the springboard to take us into the next frame. So I'm asking you to join the third one, and we've got another quick fire round. So we've started to discuss what the amazing things about job are, but this next slide here is asking you to think of some top tips for careers in digital. So clearly we have come from a huge range of backgrounds, so it'd be great to get some ideas out here on some of the tricks and techniques that helped you to get to where you are, or some advice that you might share with someone else. Let's get started. Okay, who's going to be the first brave one to add a post-it note? I'm going to add one myself. Oh, I'm really glad that somebody's increased the size of this one so we can read it out. I'm going to start reading out some of these and give everybody else a little bit of time to add in another one if you can. So some of our top tips for careers in digital are to ask lots of questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And staying curious, that's a really great way of saying that in another way. It's the fact that we come to our jobs with our minds switched on, and we have the opportunity to ask lots of questions and do things like job shadowing. That's a really good one. So try new things that you've never knew existed. It's really, really hard to know what it's like for all these different job roles that we've heard on this call if you don't have conversations about it. And shadowing is a really great way, along with mentoring. I think I saw someone saying about mentoring, to get a bit of first-hand experience about what the workplace is like and what the skills are like, and giving that a go and seeing what that opportunity is about. Don't be scared to ask for help. Yeah, there's so many opportunities that doors that wouldn't have opened if you didn't ask and make the opportunity present itself. So keep asking for things to take part in that interest you. These are some brilliant examples of top tips for careers in digital. And you can see what we're not saying is to go away and do a course, or go and get an additional qualification. It's about being proactive, but it's also about developing resilience and flexibility in your everyday ways of working. These are just great human skills that will take you through any career. I'm going to read out one more before we move on to our next and final brainstorm activity. Oh, this is a really good one. Research all the different types of roles. Digital doesn't just mean coding or setting up computers. Yeah, hopefully you've got that example from all the wealth of introductions that we just had from everybody on this call. You can see that there's not one profile for working in the tech industry or having a career in digital. What we're talking about here is a huge amount of different shapes and sizes of people, and with that wealth of I love the little dot someone's added. I think they're trying to draw my attention to this one here. Don't ever think it's not for me just because you don't have the tech degree. Our world is digital. That's a really, really nice one to end on. Thank you for that. And we've got someone echoing that with, don't worry about not being too technical. These are all things you can learn on the job, but it's about bringing that open-minded, curious mindset to the workplace, and hopefully the opportunities will present themselves. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your ideas there. There's some really, really good takeaways. And I'm going to jump over to the final task. This is a really interesting one. So if everyone can join me on the third question. Thank you. I think everyone's super fast and jumping over. That's great. We've got another blank page. Let's. What's the future for working in the world of digital? And what are we doing about it today? So I'm asking you to think aspirationally. I'm asking you to think about those innovative projects that are going on. I'm asking you to think about some of the barriers that we are currently presented with and think about how we're overcoming them. I think it's really important that we have this kind of conversation and have it in an open and transparent way, because it's only through talking and sharing that we really air out some of the underlying issues and inequalities that are potentially holding people back. So it would be great if you could pick a post-it, pick a colour, come up with some ideas. As we said, there's no such thing as a stupid comment or a stupid question, just go for it. What do you think about the future of working in digital? And what are we doing about that today? So you can, oh, I can see them coming in now. That's great. I'm going to challenge myself to filling out one. Personally, one of the hardest things about choosing these sticky notes is picking the colour. Got to mix it up. So I'm just adding here. And I can see that there's lots of people adding in the background. That's really, really, really good. Thank you, everyone. So while I talk through some of these, maybe something else will come to your mind and you can add it in as we go. Thank you to those who have added already. Let's see what we've got here. So, what's the future for working in the world of digital? Changing the perception of what working in digital means and who would enjoy it. That's hopefully what we've demonstrated today by showing that we are a really broad range of human beings and come in from lots of different backgrounds. And I think changing that perception is a really important step forward. Okay, what else have we got? We've got mentoring and developing core skills. Yeah, so with that, you know, we all know that within schools you can study a set of, within the curriculum or the syllabus, there's a set of subjects, but going beyond that, what are the core skills that underpin all the different ways of working? And what else have we got? More remote working, working from anywhere in the world. Yeah, no longer are we being forced to pick an office space to go into from 9 to 5. And this flexibility means that people are able to have a huge amount of diversity in the ways that they want to live. So, yep, speaking personally, I'm a single mum and I wouldn't be able to look after my children and be there for my kids if I wasn't able to have such flexible working patterns. Getting rid of services where the hard work is done for the users. So that's definitely talking to that user-centric mindset, and we're thinking about the humans behind the technologies, you know, and that's really, really interesting. Fostering a more joined-up approach across the public sector, collaboration and sharing of ideas and approaches. That's a fantastic one, and hopefully that's demonstrated in what we're doing today. I'd love to read out more. Where's that little white dot if someone wants to draw my attention to one? I think we've got time for one more, but hopefully we're going to be able to share this Jamboard as well as our video, so that people can go in and have a look and even add to it. I really like this little circle, very helpful. I think we're really, really centering around challenging the perceptions of what working in digital means and who would enjoy it. And hopefully that's what we're doing today with creating this video. We could go on, but we're going to have to stop there. And to round us off, I'm going to return to the screen where we can see everyone's faces. Hi, everyone. Thanks for that. And I'm going to put myself on mute. Just go a little nugget of information that we'd like to, or reflection that we'd like to share, some closing words to round off this session. As we ended with Hayley last time, let's start with her this time. Thank you.
Yeah, I suppose my point would to a younger self would be opportunities come along. They might not seem directly applicable at the time, but just if you're interested, just try it and see where you end up, and hopefully do something you really enjoy. Over to Mel.
Thanks, Hayley. Mel, would you like to share next?
Yeah, so what would I say if I went to my younger self? Probably to worry less about what people think about you and about your abilities, and to just kind of enjoy what you do and make the most of every moment you've got in your job, especially with the fast stream. It goes quite quickly, so just enjoy and make the most of it. Who shall we move to? Nicola.
Thank you. I think my main thing, and something that I didn't maybe realize I was doing when I was younger, but when I reflect back on it, is just trust your instincts. So if something doesn't feel right, I tried quite a few different things that I could do, but they weren't me. So, and then I'd try something else. And it was genuinely 5 years ago, sat in an office with someone had smashed a vase, toilets were backing up, I had 30 participants arriving to the office. It was chaos on my first day, but I still sat in that workshop and thought, this is really cool. I want to work in this. And that was a really strong gut instinct that I totally let drive everything I did for the next 2 years and up until now. So yeah, trust your instincts. I'm going to pass on to Alison.
I agree with that, Nicola. Go with the gut. I think that's a good life motto for me as well. I would also say to my younger self, don't assume everybody but you knows the answer. Sometimes nobody knows the answer. Sometimes there's more than one answer. And adopt the mentality of I can do the thing, as opposed to I'm not sure if I can do the thing. Always go for I can do it and proceed on that basis. I'm going to hand over to Serena.
Thanks, Alison. Yeah, I would say follow your passion and find your purpose. And I think what's really important to me now is understanding that it's often not so much about the certificate you have, the title you're wearing, or whatever. And what I've learned is that we don't know the job roles of the future. We don't know what we will need in the future. So we are kind of like defining our own job roles, which is such a huge opportunity. And I think if you have found your passion and purpose of what you want to do, then just follow it and you will find your job because you will create it. Okay, that's me, and I hand over again to Sarah.
Hey, yeah, I definitely echo a lot of the sentiments that have been said. For myself, as somebody who was always a bit of a worrier and an overthinker, I would definitely tell my younger self none of that matters, because it doesn't actually make things any better. It doesn't make you make decisions. Sometimes you'll doubt yourself, and that inner voice in the back of your head takes over. So I tell my younger self to believe in yourself 100% in your capabilities. Whether it goes right or wrong, you treat that experience as a learning curve, and you take from it what you can. And people's assumptions or presumptions of you, whether because of the job you want or because you're female or whatever, that's nobody's business but theirs. So don't pay attention to it. Just do what you want to do for you, and make the most of it and have fun as well. Like, if you're not having fun with what you're doing, what's the point? You know, be miserable at the end of every day. Obviously it's not for you otherwise. So yeah, absolutely trust your gut instinct. I agree with that. That's definitely a biggie. I will go to Carly now.
Awesome, thank you. So the two biggest pieces of advice from my perspective, I think, one of them really feeds into what Serena said around design the job role that you want to have. I think that if you had told teenage me that I would have been paid for writing things on the internet, I would have just been absolutely amazed. You know, like being a content designer just wasn't something that I could imagine as a teenager. And that, you know, like that only came about once I was already in my 20s. So that's the first thing, like work out what you really enjoy and then see if you can find a role that lets you do that. And then the second thing, and I think that like women in particular really need to hear this, is aim high. Like it doesn't matter so much if you don't think that you meet the essential criteria, every essential criteria on the job advert, right? If you look at it and go, I think I could do this job, apply and put yourself out there, because like I tell you what, there will be men that are doing that. And I think that actually you really need to kind of push yourself and take every opportunity that you think that you could take. Who hasn't spoken? Karen.
Thanks, Carly. Yeah, so I think just reflecting on what everyone said and kind of thinking back to what we were talking about with careers in digital, you know, digital isn't all about technology. And I think that was always something that I was really worried about initially. But, you know, it's as much about the mindset and for me, kind of building confidence, not being afraid to try things. And over time, you absolutely become less concerned about, you know, making mistakes or being a little unsure about things. And you just start to focus on what you want to achieve. And like the other said, you know, we've got the ability to kind of to shape things as we would like. Over to Maddie.
Hi, just checking everyone can hear me this time. Okay, yeah, just to kind of the same sentiments that other people have had. I suppose what I would tell my younger self, I had quite bad confidence issues, and like Sarah touched upon, we work in a very male-dominated field, so it's about not being scared to have a voice at these meetings, workshops, seminars. People can come across as being really confident and not know what they're talking about. So it's not being intimidated by that, and that your voice matters as well in these places. That's it from me. Back to Fiona, I think.
Thanks, everyone. I have thoroughly enjoyed this session. It's really, really nice to hear all of these little building blocks of great advice and really inspirational personal experience that hopefully somebody out there is going to listen to and somebody's going to connect with. I think it's really, really nice to do this together and to show that we're one voice that has so many different thoughts and ideas, and it's really, really great that you could all participate today. I think if I was going to give a piece of advice to my younger self, it would be something really, really, really simple. And I think that I still probably need to tell myself the same thing, and that's to get a good mentor, you know, to find someone that you respect and you look up to, and find out and ask them, be brave and ask them how they got there, because there's no one way to do it. And it's just really, really inspirational to hear all these different routes into the opportunities that we have today. Thank you very much for all your contributions. There was one more thing I was going to say, if I can. When I was in school, I really struggled because of I'm really highly dyslexic, and I took that as such a weakness. But now I see it as my most defining strength, because it's made me really creative and I think about things in a really lateral way. So yeah, just don't let just because someone calls something a weakness, it might actually be your strength. Hope everybody has had a good session, and it's unfortunately time to draw it to a close. So I'd like to thank Karen for giving me the opportunity to facilitate this, and I'm going to actually hand back to her just to draw to a close and to say any final thank yous.
No, thank you, Fiona, for taking that on and facilitating that for us today. That was great to get together as a group, lots of new faces, building our networks across digital, which is always nice to do. So yeah, thank you again, and look forward to catching up with you all soon.